What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So today we jump right into the Love and Thunder update, and right here you can see me completing my search for my second advancement for Thor, and getting actually some decent rewards for life seeds by completing the daily quest for Mephisto, or for, you know, World Boss Legend, whatever the daily is. So let's jump out of here real quickly, and we'll go into taking a look at some of Thor and what he has in store. So number one, if you are going to be playing a Thor, you're more than likely going to be looking at switching out from your custom gear of a CTP of Rage. I think he's going to definitely be beneficial way more to play this character as a judgment based character than a CTP of Rage based character. His rotation is a lot smoother than what it was previously with the charge up of his fourth skill. You can pretty much cancel out of his fourth skill right away, roll right into his fifth skill, get the damage from those off his sixth, and then roll into those. So not too bad. Didn't take me long to unlock his potential. I had saved one of the rotations for World Boss from yesterday and then rolled into today. We were at like 71%, so thankfully for that one right there, right? So we've got the Force of the Thunder God. So now we've got about 250,000 gold. I don't have a whole ton of resources, but this is essentially going to allow me to build up the character a little bit more in terms of what we're going for here to get him finally to that last level. So what we want to do mostly for this video is I want to show you guys the cost associated with getting him up to you know, that upper end of tier 4, or at least level 80. There's going to be one thing I want you guys to pay attention to. You can get his fragment from doing the legendary battle for Love and Thunder, and it basically increases the basic damage dealt to enemies. And this one right here is basically increasing basic damage dealt to enemies with pure evil abilities by 11%, which isn't bad. And it is giving the passive that it increases lightning damage by 20% of lightning resist, and an additional 0.3 of total instinct. It also increases the basic damage dealt to supervillain faction by 8% at this level, and an additional 0.3 for total instinct. Now, what does that mean? Essentially, if you were to look at Thor and you were to go to his leadership, is one of the things that never really made sense to me, right? But Thor has on his leadership to all allies, he increases the lightning resist by 50%, right? So you can see that 50% is there. So you can see basically you're getting 20% of lightning, 20% increases lightning damage by 20% of his lightning resist. So it's total up to 200. So basically having this equipped and getting him some lightning resist will go up, but it really doesn't work out as well as you would think it is. You're probably still better off using, like, you know, somebody else for leadership, especially like you just utilizing Beta Ray build like I do for him more often than not, and then pairing him up with somebody like Jane, or pairing him up with Valkyrie. Probably going to switch out to Jane for his leadership. Okay, but so let's take a look at this. So basically we've got Thor, and we want to hit that level 80 cap with him. Max level has been reached, so we're going to enhance the potential. Okay, so what we're not going to do is obviously use our life seeds and stuff like this. This is where it's just going to get ridiculously expensive in terms of leveling up a character. I always hate the fact that we're basically looking at leveling up characters to get them to tier 4 by doing this, because it costs so freaking much to do it. Don't forget that basically you're going to be better off using the biometrics from the character, because you get a bonus for using those biometrics instead. You really don't, at this point in the game, this stage, you really don't probably want to really realistically probably don't want to go the route of not using the biometrics specific to the character, especially for a free-to-play character like Thor and Iron Man. It just makes so much more sense in terms of like using their biometrics, because they're free-to-play characters and it can be easily obtained from the shop. And if you don't have the materials to necessarily do that at the stage that you are, then you probably shouldn't realistically be leveling up a character to stage to level 80, or, you know, trying to go for the T4. I know that I will go for T4 for Thor, because Thor is a character I play all the time. Like, I'm not kidding. I play this character all the time. Even if he's not good, I still play the character. He's one of my favorite characters to play, so therefore I will make that investment inside of him. You also notice that I'm just going the route of just trying to get the character up, so I'm not trying to min-max the system in any shape, form, or way, because I hate doing it. I'm oftentimes just bothered by the by the effects of trying to min-max a character out for there. It usually annoys me more than anything. So this is the route I'm going to get my character to level 80. So, and then we go here, and I think that should be enough. Yep. So there you go. You can see about 2,500 bios basically to get him all the way up to level 80. That doesn't include the bios that we're going to be needed for you to increase his uniform. So we have him at level 80, tier 3 now. His uniform options are, I'm not a fan of his uniform options. You've got Gamora. This is her best uniform that she has, that Gamora has, so you're more than likely going to want to have that. You've got Swordmaster. I didn't purchase this uniform and haven't leveled it up simply because I'm not a fan of the character. But since he's part of Thor's wheel, I'll probably at some point get this character to level up so that way I can max out my energy-based attack here. We've got Adam Warlock. This is going to be an expensive uniform for a character. Infinity Countdown Adam Warlock, because Adam Warlock is a native T2. So that's going to be expensive no matter how you pare it down. Like, I hate to say that, but another reason for you to be very concerned about using Thor as one of your tier characters inside the system. So please pay attention to that, right? Next up, we've got Daredevil. Not necessarily expensive character, but you know, he's a tier 3, so, and it's his best uniform, so you're most likely going to be utilizing that. The last option is Emma Frost in her Hellfire Gala uniform. You know, this is going to be one of those bad uniforms to use. I'll probably end up having to level up this uniform over time. The upgrade cost on her is basically you either utilize an upgrade ticket for her, or you go ahead and try to get her bios, which can only be acquired inside the shop. Unfortunately, that's the truth of the matter. It is what it is. So, you know, luckily enough, if you've been playing around a long time, you don't necessarily need to max out on a lot of those things, because you can easily max out. Like, for instance, if you look at my Thor, I basically have him maxed out on just about every stat across the board. So realistically, I'm just dropping HP and energy attack kind of things on him, mostly because of my cards and things like that. So you want to be looking at that kind of thing for what you're doing. But I would like to have a top tier Thor in the game, so I'll probably eventually look at that. Like I said, custom gear, you're going to probably want a CTP of Judgment for Thor going down the path, especially since you know at this point that he is simply going to be a PvE related character. I don't see very much in the way of him being used for PvP. It just doesn't make sense to me. So like, I would legitimately roll into that overall. So let's take a look now here. So next up, we have to level up his Thor skills. The good thing about Thor's skills is you've got a really simple rotation in playing this character, and I do mean a simple rotation. So let's take a look at those skills overall. His 1 and 2 skills, there's not a lot on here. I mean, realistically, you're looking at his one and 2 skills, and there's nothing to be done on those skills at all. Matter of fact, let me pull up those skills really quickly for you guys so that way you can see them, because it'll make a little bit more sense for you guys about why I'm talking about those. So let's take a look. So on his first skill, basically he's got a stun and he's got bleed damage on there. It's the Thunder Slash is what it's called. Doesn't even look great in my opinion, except for the ending effect of it. You can see that he's not invincible, or he's not in iframe until about probably like 3 or 4 seconds into his skill before he finally lands. He still has his second attack, which is a V-pad skill, which is fine. You know, it's good for you to get you out of some places and, you know, deal with some things there. But mostly what you're going to be spending time on is his 3rd, 4th, and 5th skill. So his 3rd skill is basically called the Lightning, and it's basically the hammer slam down gets you to guard, and it also has the immunity. So that's it. That's all these skills happens. Got some pretty decent hits. The Lightning lingers a little bit, so you don't really have to do anything but utilize this skill in order to set up. So you're basically using this to get the lightning resistance and the guard hits, so that way Thor is protected. Then you're gonna roll right into his fourth skill. Now his fourth skill, the cool thing about Endless Lightning Strike is that he throws Stormbreaker and he goes through this whole motion. But if you notice, the recovery effect happens right at the beginning there. You can see that green that happens. There's a lot of hits happening on the fourth skill as well, but we can easily cancel out of this skill and then roll into his fifth skill, which is Wrath of the Thunder God, which is where his accumulation is happening as well. So the really simple rotation for the character is going to be simple as hell. Now there's some things that you need to pay attention to on his fifth skill, and that's namely the length of time that it takes. And notice that the iframe ends right as soon as he does this massive hit and this strike, which there's a lot of hits that happens after that hit. So watch, you basically go inside here, he's at 48, he loses the invincibility, and so there's about 100 something plus additional hits that's happening at the end of that 5. But it is his damage accumulation. So the basic way this is going to work is you're going to go 3, cancel 4, cancel 5, let that play out, and that's going to be your rotation when your tier 6 is up. When the tier 6 is up, you can still go 3, cancel 4, cancel 5, and then roll directly into 6. Really simple rotation for Thor. You see what I mean there? Really simple rotation for Thor. He's a lot more powerful in this uniform than he is in just about any other uniform. So what I'm going to do for the character, essentially, to boost these skills up, I mean, once you get to tier 4, you're gonna have to do all of these skills, but the sad part is that we're managing these life seeds, and the life seeds are gonna be what's gonna cripple us to death. So in order to get this skill all the way up to 10, it's gonna be 250 of these life seeds for me. So you can see I'm gonna level up 3, definitely gonna level up 4, and then I'm gonna level up 5. So pay attention to the differences as well inside these skills. If you notice, there's not a whole lot being done in terms of damage on these skills. Like, I hate to say that, but like when you look at this overall, I think Beast Mode kind of hit on this the best, is that he was like, basically he's like, yo, this needs to be taken away. Like, why am I paying so much to max out these skills and getting nothing? Like 160, 242, that's not a lot. Like, there's nothing really happening here, especially for a tier, you know, it's you're having to do this in order to get to tier 4. So it's like, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of it. I agree with Beast Mode. This is not some place that I want to be spending life seeds, especially the valuableness of those life seeds overall, but it is what it is. That's what we basically have to deal with. I've got Thor at his type enhancement. His ESO is set inside here as well for overdrive. I might end up changing that to Power of Angry Hulk, and that's pretty much all I can do with the character for now. Why? There's going to be a number of reasons why this is the only thing that I can do with the character. Essentially, I got to raise up his gear, all right, to get it all the way to a max of 30. And this is going to be the problem because these Souls of the 14, they can only be gotten in Giant Boss Raid Dormammu, and these Carbonadiums can only be gotten in World Boss Legend. That's going to pair up with these. So let's take a look at what the expensiveness of this cost is going to be. So let's normal enhance these. We'll go relay enhance on these as a maximum of 30. Let's see what this is going to cost me. So remember, we're starting out with about 2,700 Soul of the 14 and 4,400 of the Carbonadiums. So let's take a look at those and see if we get lucky or not. I really don't imagine this is going to be enough. Like, oh my god, 17, that's terrible. 21, that's also terrible. 3, we get lucky at the end there because that kind of helps us mute it out. So let's go with this one as well. Now, the really funny part about leveling this up right now is that I think a lot of people aren't going to be in the, oh, that's nice, 9 and 5. I don't think, 1, that's really nice. 25, and that kills me, so I know I'm not going to make it now. The really funny thing about this is that most people aren't going to be able to hit that tier 4 on the first day anyways, but there is something interesting in the update that I think a lot of people are going to be able to hit the tier 4, at least the major well players in the game, is that essentially 21, I'm not going to make it. We'll be playing out the 23, Jesus Christ. So unless I get absolutely lucky, it is what it is, right? But I've got some days that I'm basically going to be playing inside here anyways, because yeah, so you can see there. So I essentially have a few more levels to go for his gear in order to get him up there, but it is what it is. I kind of knew that was going to come and that was going to happen anyways. But what we're looking at is rolling into Giant Boss Raid. There's a couple of things that I want to mention in here. You're going to probably see some tier 4 Thors running around. Matter of fact, if I was to show you the character from the team, I almost guarantee we've got some tier 4 Thors inside the system already. Let's take a look over here. We've got Thor. Let's see the number 1 Thor. Oh wow, he's just tier 3 still, but you can see what I'm talking about, that CTP of Judgment sitting inside there. I'm surprised the number 1 Thor is not tier 4. That's crazy to me. I fully expected that Thor to be tier 4. Fully expected Thor to be tier 4. So essentially there was a change that happened inside Giant Boss Raid Dormammu, and I want to point that out real quick to you guys. Essentially you can jump inside of Giant Boss Raid Dormammu, and your there we go, here's Dormammu's. So what they've done is they've changed it now, right? So you can essentially jump inside Giant Boss Raid Dormammu and you have access to get these Book of the Vishantis. Now it says 1 in 1 for the rewards that can be claimed inside here, but that's not essentially what's happening. I think people like Cynic Alex has pointed out that they've seen that players have essentially been able to get more than 1 by brute forcing the system. Basically, if you're able to purchase a total sum of boost points inside here to continuously run this, and maybe have people inside your alliance or your friend list that can kind of, you know, carry you through the system, because I think there's probably people don't have as many characters that they can continually run this through the system, then you could essentially basically brute force the system into getting you more universal books, and thereby leveling up the character on day 1, or if that's something that's happened. I don't suspect that I'm going to get this character up to, you know, tier 4 on the first day. But I wanted to show you guys somewhat of the cost. Now, it wasn't necessarily that expensive. I was sitting at around 250 million gold in the first place, and it was only about 30 million gold in terms of my total outspent there. Now, it's going to probably get a little bit more expensive for most players to be able to just get to level 80. As you can see, to get to the level 30 as well, I'm going to try to knock that out as much as possible. I've got all his skills maxed out. I've got his type maxed out, his enhancement hat maxed out. I'm going to max out this skill as much as possible inside here. I'm going to switch this over and I'm going to max out his uniform. I would like to have a top 100 Thor, but I doubt that that's going to happen without me doing some serious work on some Odin's blessings. But that's Thor in a nutshell for you guys. He's definitely way more powerful and a little bit more fun to play without having that rotation skill build up. I'm a fan of the character in a sense, but where I'm still faulting the character, the design on, is I don't like the uniform at all. It's a very clumbering looking uniform, and cooldowns in the game just seem to be really long to me for some of the skills. But like I said, this is my favorite character. The one thing that I can tell you without a doubt is I don't suspect that Thor will be the powerhouse of universals for very long, especially as other universals will get their T4. So if he's not a favorite of yours, pay attention to that, and maybe you don't want to level up tier Thor. It's going to be a very expensive endeavor in terms of getting that character up there. You can see how much I spent just to do that, so keep that in mind. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.